the 2022 SPI Catalog releases. Because this is going to be a video later, I'm just going to hop right into it. Now, the reason I'm doing this as a live stream is for those of you that are joining me live. Thank you for joining me live. Hello. That's on mute. Cool. The reason I'm doing it this way is because, number one, no editing, very low effort, big fan of that. And number two, it's just going to be more fun to argue with people while we're getting this stuff done. So, as you might notice, I'm wearing the new Cool Wick hoodie. I think it's like BL7 or something, or BL6 is the number of this. But just go to the Cool Wick website and Black Label stuff and look for the thing that looks like this. So, all right. So there's a lot of people that have done this. First of all, I have to give a big shout out to Mr. 900 Mr. 900 Cody Schmidt, who actually put this whole tier thing together. I'd wanted to do this for a while, but didn't have the free time or the free 15 minutes to spend putting the whole list together. Cody did that for everybody and shared it to the staffers. So thank you very much, Cody. He's also got his own list if you want to go check that out. I think his username is just Cody Schmidt on YouTube. So I'm going to go on ahead and share the screen here. Yeet. All right, so we're going to talk about everything. As you can see, he's got everything on here just in case if we wanted to do like the entire thing, because there are several people that actually drilled their sunstorms. There's a lot of people that are going to drill their pink physics. And so even if it was banned, lightly restricted, special edition, limited edition, whatever else, we're going to talk about them. I may not rank the ones that I didn't throw or that we didn't throw, that I didn't review more specifically, but we're still going to talk about them anyway. I'm in official capacity, so I'm drinking raspberry lime Spindrift, by the way. Womp, womp, womp. All right. So I'm actually these aren't in order of actual release date, but I think that might be if I can even remember the original release date. I think I can. Let's see if I can. I think the Nova and the Spectre were the first to release, actually. I think the Nova and the Spectre, because the Phase 5 came, and then the Gem came after that. So yeah, I think the Nova and the Spectre were actually the first releases for 2022. So let's start with the daddy ball. We're just going to go right for it. The Spectre was amazing. Unfortunately, no, I think the Gem was actually after the Phase 5, because I think that, yeah. No, the P4 got announced because I remember exactly how this happened, because the Nova and the Spectre got announced and everybody was super hyped about the Nova, wasn't really sure what to think about the Spectre because it was a new core. We don't see R3S Pearl very often, so the Spectre was kind of like, we'll wait and see. But the Nova, it's got a sexy name, it's got a sexy look. The Ignition core got people excited because it's been in the Gate series overseas forever. And it's got R2X Hybrid on it, which was the virtual energy cover way back in the day, in addition to something else. So everybody was super, super hyped about the Nova. And then a week before the Nova and the Spectre were released, they announced the Phase 4. And then everybody just went Phase 4 crazy and half forgot about the Nova, completely forgot about the Spectre. And then the Spectre ended up being really, really freaking good for about a month and a half before unfortunate things happened. And I don't know if I can just start off by putting something way up at the top in S tier, and it's probably nostalgia, whatever else, but everybody knows that this ball was great. So I'm just going to do it. Oh, whoops. I've got to go over to the actual page. Now I'm on the actual page. I don't even care. What does the chat think? I know it's probably not even right. It's probably really anticlimactic to just stick that up there. But this was the ball that I threw pretty much exclusively the whole time. It almost, I mean, it just almost felt like cheap, like it was in play on everything. So what do we think? What do we think? 100%. Cameron thinks yes. Nico thinks yes. Spectre S tier. I cheated with it until it was banned. Billy M said yes. S tier confirmed. Great job. Moving on. We don't need to. It's just like a 2016 or 2017 purple hammer. Am I right? Am I right or am I right? We're not going to talk about it anymore. They're probably mad already. All right, so let's talk about the Nova here because it came out. I think people were excited about it, and I haven't really seen many of them. I haven't heard a whole lot about it. It's like the buzz did this. Like it was super up, and then phase 4 was announced, and then went back down, and it's like, oh, Nova again. And so Angel has thrown hers a lot. It didn't quite work out for me, but I do recognize seeing other people throw it, just how good of a ball this is. All right, let me see here. Fully agree with the Spectre. Just got here. What's the S tier? Okay, so I should probably explain this. The S tier, I don't know why what the S stands for in S tier, but it's just kind of like S, superior maybe. I don't know. And then it's like a backwards kind of report card. So S is like the best you can get. A is really freaking good. B is solid. C is mediocre, and D is for dog. It's bottom. Moving along, back to the Nova. So I think that the Nova was on the hype train, and then it kind of wasn't, but it is. It's kind of a boring reacting ball, but like I said in one of the absolute, I'll talk about that a little bit later. But like I talked about in either the absolute or the Revenant video, when describing the Fate, boring stuff is good. I mean, the Nova's got that kind of chuggy, tumbly, really controllable, but with a little bit of torque and pop on the back end. It's really good. So S for soft. That's hilarious. That's how they do grades in Japan. S is like superior. Cool. That makes sense. Because I've seen some stuff like this, like Mega Man games. I remember that there was one Cyber Peacock in Mega Man X4 where you had to go through the level, and then the faster you went through it, like S tier was the best, and then A and whatever else. So anyway, that makes sense. Back off the rabbit trail. These are Rastabel rabbits. All right, so Nova. Where do we think we're going to put the Nova? Because I don't see a whole lot of people throwing them anymore. But it's one of those things like, I think that it's not going to be like an idle situation where everybody kind of threw them and took them for granted, and then they got discontinued, and then everybody screamed bloody murder. I'm not sure that that's going to happen with the Nova, but it's really good. What does the chat think for the Nova? It's boring. People like, people like big back end, which the Nova does not do. It's just really stable and controllable and boring, and it hits the pocket every time. It's very easy to do that with. It's in play tons of things. It's got to be a great. It's got to be a great sport pattern ball, collegiate ball, whatever else. All right, everybody's saying solid B tier, BBB. Nova is either A or B. I know Angel votes for A or S. Nova A tier, we got B, A, solid B, B probably. I will go ahead and put it in B tier for right now. We'll see what happens, because the interesting thing about doing these tier lists is I've seen people do these with a bunch of things like Call of Duty titles and whatever else. As soon as you start talking about other balls, then everything else is going to get shifted around, because it's like, well, this is a B-level ball, so this can't be a B-level ball, so we have to move this up or we have to move this down. So we're going to go ahead and put the Nova into the B spot. I know it was a long time to get the second ball on the list here, but we got to, this is me we're talking about here. I mean, this is going to take a while. And no, I'm not time stamping this later because that's work and I don't want to do it. So we're going to put the Nova in the B tier. Next, we're going to talk about the Phase 4 because, again, I remember exactly how this happened. I thought that, okay, so releasing the Phase 4 or announcing the Phase 4 right before the Spectre and the Nova came out, I thought was not great timing. I thought if they would have announced the Gem, gone Spectre Nova, Gem, then Phase 5, we got something to work with because the Phase 4, rather, because the Phase 4 kind of overlaps with the Spectre a little bit on paper. But there's a little bit of overlap there. Well, if they have the Spectre and the Nova come out, and then there's the Gem, there's no overlap with any of those at all. Then they put the Phase 5 out behind the Gem. Well, there's no overlap. I mean, so the buzz is big for the Phase 5 or Phase 4, but it's not going to hurt the Gem at all because those are obviously not in the same universe. Phase 4, I'm going to throw it to the chat, but I know exactly. I mean, unless you guys want to save this thing, we're just, you can make petitions. This is where we're going to start because this ball was not good. I filmed with it a couple times. Did I re-drill it? Maybe. No, I don't think so. Now, Angels looked ridiculous. This is the tale of the two balls because I changed surfaces. I was on a couple different patterns. I threw it bad, and then I threw it again. And then when the Phase 5 came out, I even threw it again for that review. So I think I filmed like 3 different times for it. I had it at several different surfaces, whatever else. It just wanted to lock up off my hand and would not do anything. Terrible. Terrible, awful. But some people, Angels was perfect. I don't know that I've seen better ball reaction for anybody ever because it does. The Phase 4 kind of acts like a symmetric polished Nova, if I'm being fair. The Nova actually picks up and does something. The Phase 4 just pukes. For Angel, it looked like, because it had that same kind of tumbly, chuggy, would control the mid lane, but didn't exactly go nuts. So it was one of those that rolled heavy and really controlled the mids, but then didn't overreact on the back end. Mine definitely did not overreact on the back end. There was no overreaction. There was barely any reaction, but there was definitely no overreaction. So this one I could see. If you guys want to make a case or argue for this to be in like C tier, it's not getting up to B. I mean, I'm going to let you guys have C if you want to put it there, but no, just it's a no from me. So do we have, what does the chat say? Do we have any arguments? Do we have any arguments for C tier, or can we leave it in D where it belongs? C tier, no. Root beer makes it S. That is a very good point. I will take that point, actually. If you want to put it in C tier based on the scent alone, I cannot argue that because the scent is legendary. Legendary. C tier, D tier. I'm seeing most or D. D is for dumpster, yes. But last time I said a ball belonged to the dumpster, people got mad. Yeah, it's looking like it's staying in the D tier. We will revisit it, of course, later, but it's staying in the D tier. So next, we're going to talk about the Gem. My memory is terrible, but I do very vividly remember most of this year, unfortunately. So the Gem is the next one. Tisk, tisk. I'm going to look at the entire list and just make sure I didn't miss anything. But I do vividly remember Spectre Nova came out in January. Phase 4 was like February or very early March. And then the Gem was March, very early April. Something like that. So we're going to talk about the Gem now. The Gem is really good. I couldn't ever throw it. I tried to several times. But for a big, chonky, hooking off the planet ball, It was surprisingly versatile. It didn't puke and give up from bigger angles. It even, looked pretty decent on the house shot, which I didn't think it had any chance at doing. So it really impressed me on the house shot. Then it was strong but controllable on our sport pattern. So I think this one's pretty good. The gem is solid. The gem is a weak ball. Not for 98.7% of the people out there. Yes, I hate the gym. This is yes, great. I hate the gym. Never thrown it, but I watch old guys with no revs shoot 750s with it in the league. If my breakdown pair buddy was watching, there's a guy that in our scratch league that doesn't do. He just kind of points it right off the corner, and he crushed with the gem last year or most early this year. He got it at the end of last year when it came out, or last season rather, and then he did really, really well with it. So I am agreeing with most of the comments here. Everybody's saying A or B. There's the random D. Gem is a strong ball with control. A or S is unique. Yeah, Danielle used the gem a lot when she shouldn't have been using the gem. Hashtag armchair quarterback. But when the rest of the people on the show were throwing like hustles and stuff, and you're throwing the gem, sorry. Gem is weak when you throw it for about a year with no maintenance. I'm going to put it in, well, gosh, I can't. Okay. I'm going to put it in A. I want to put it in A. The only thing that keeps it at S tier is because it is so strong. It is somewhat condition specific. It's not as condition specific as most of the bigger stuff is. Like I think the UFO was even a little bit more condition specific than this. The gem made it work. Because even something like the reality, once the reality got shined up, the reality was really versatile too. I think the reality is probably an S tier ball. And I think the gem is just that little bit stronger, which kind of limits its use a little bit, limits its versatility a little bit. But for a big ball, very, very good stuff. Are there any arguments with the, S tier, everyone throws it and still impactful. And again, we'll revisit these later, but my initial instinct is to put this in A. I think the only thing that keeps it out of S is the versatility thing, which could be argued against the Spectre too. I mean, because the Spectre is not going to, where the Spectre starts falling off is really where the gem starts getting it. The problem is that there's more conditions. The Spectre's in play more often because more conditions fit its general zone. There's very few conditions that the gem naturally wants to fit. And especially as a right-hander, you're just not going to be able to use it that long most of the time. However, this is one of the best big balls at getting deep that I've seen. So I think it stays an A for right now. So A tier, we're going to leave it in A tier. We'll revisit it. It's fine. Then this is where I get fuzzy. So I'm going to need somebody to tell me what came next because I can't remember. X3, did the X3 Hustle USA and Hyped come next? Because all those three kind of came at the same time. I remember the Idol, the Cosmos, and the Infinite were over the summer. The Night Road was after that. Phase 5 was after that. The Zen Soul's in there somewhere. I remember the Wolverine came out kind of around the same time the Idol, or I think the Wolverine and X3 might have come out at the same time. I can't remember when the Zen Soul came out. Was that the next one? Was the Soul the next one? Zen Soul in May. Okay, yep. All right, so we're going to talk Zen Soul. I did not throw a Zen Soul. I threw all the rest of these that we've ranked so far. I did drill one for Angel. James drilled one. If I got along with that core, I think I'd have wanted to drill this one because I had two Zen Masters with 3 different layouts, I think, because I re-drilled the one, and then I ended up re-drilling. Angel didn't like hers, and so I took that one and re-drilled that one too, just to check out a different layout. I threw the original Zen. I put 2 different layouts on that. That core wants to go a little too forward, and the balls are strong. They want to really control that's why the Zen's so popular, because it really, really digs into the mid lane, but then it's really controllable down lane. So it's a great house shot ball for the average bowler. It's even better for better bowlers, whatever else. It's just, I'm not denying that popularity at all. The Zen, I think, is even a more versatile, little bit better version of the Zen, because the Zen could sometimes get behind the head pin and be really flat. When it wasn't good, it wasn't that great. So the Zen was either, fortunately enough, I think that the Zen was either that ball that it's the ball, it's the berries, or whatever Brad and Kyle say. It's the berries, or it was not. And so it was obvious when you could use the ball and when you had to put it away. The Zen Soul, I think, blends the lane a little bit more. It's a little bit earlier, but a little bit smoother, but still shapes like the Zen. My initial thought is it's bordering on A or B tier. It's good. I just don't see a whole lot of people throwing them. Everybody's still throwing the Zen because that's the hot ball. And then the Zen Master came out, and everybody was really on the fence about that. I'm glad we're not ranking that this year. And then the Zen Soul, I think, was the ball that everybody hoped or wanted the Master to be, but I think everybody was kind of feeling a little hangover from the Master, wasn't sure about the Zen, and since the Soul, and since the Zen is still popular, I just think that I don't know. And the Master and the Zen Soul aren't particularly attractive balls. They don't look bad, but the Zen just has everything. And if we'd have gotten like the Zen, some of the overseas stuff, like the Zen Ashura or the Zen Spirit, or any of that stuff, those all look sexy. These kind of look a little wonky, and so I think that the Zen is still the hot ball. That's the one everybody still wants to throw, and so the Zen Soul's gotten a little bit overlooked, but I think it's a really good ball. Zen Soul S tier, it's like a P2. It is like a P2. I will agree with that. It's somewhat close to a phase 2. S tier Soul is A or B, C at best. Plus, you put the Gem in A tier, and the Zen Soul is more versatile. That's a good point. The Zen Soul was the first ball to be released after the USB-C stuff. Zen Soul, basically a stronger phase 2. Solid A, could be C, or could be S. C tier, B tier. Are you saying the Soul is worse than the rollout ball? The rollout ball. Roll out. Zen Soul by itself is an A, but when compared to the rest of the catalog, there's other stuff better. It doesn't stand out, but it's an A for 2022. Hated the OG Zen, liked the Soul. So Angel likes the Soul. Soul lives in the shadows. It's great, but unnoticed. A at worst, S at best, B. So I'm seeing a lot of more. There's some random stuff. I think A is probably about the average because there's several S tiers. I was thinking A tier as well for the Zens for initial thoughts. That was me. I was thinking it's really good. And again, we'll revisit this because are the Zen Soul and the Gem on the same line? So that's what we get to talk about later here. So, yeah, Roll Out by Ludacris. That's on the that's one of my favorite CDs. That's now that's what I call music, volume 18 or something. Whatever the roast of Justin Bieber. He got that joke in on Luda. Yeah. Or no, that was oh gosh, what's his name? The guy from SNL that's somehow dating everybody. Anyway, Pete Davidson. I knew I was going to get it. I'm a boomer now, though, so it just took 30, 45 seconds for the for the old head to connect to the internet. Anyway, moving on. Zen Soul. We're going to leave that in A for right now. So I think the X3, the Hustle USA, and the Hype Solid came next. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Pete Davidson. Yeet. All right, June, Hustle Chili, then July, Infinite Physics, Idle Cosmos, Wolverine Dark Moss, Reality Check. Was the X3, the Hustle USA, and the Hype Solid must have been August then. Okay, so those were all August. So then June, Hustle Chili, then July. Okay, so I guess Infinite, Idle Cosmos, Dark Moss, Reality Check are all next. So yeah, let's talk about the Cosmos. This was my ball of the year for 2022. This is one of the great unsung heroes. We can argue it out of S tier, but for me, it's an S tier. So I'm just going to put it right there right now. This is definitely being slept on. I was frustrated with it out of the box because it wanted to be early and it forced me inside, and then it wanted to be slow, and it felt like a trap ball. It was one of those where the general reaction shape reminded me a lot of the original Idol. It reminded me of a more controllable Helios, actually, because I like the Helios, but it was just too much shape. It was just too much boom. The Cosmos was a more controllable Helios. People went nuts with the Helios, which has unfortunately been discontinued. But the Cosmos, I think, is a better Helios. It's definitely got flashes of it's definitely an Idol line ball. It reminds me of the shape of the original Idol a lot, the Idol Pearl. I took it to a tournament, and I thought, well, I'm never going to use this on a house shot. It's too strong, too early, too slow, whatever else. I took it to this tournament and ended up using it for all 12 games of the tournament. It was a huge tournament on a sport pattern. We had 6 games one day, 6 games, Swiss Trios, if anybody knows the Swiss Trios format. But yeah, I used it all 12 games, came back, used it in league a lot, have had some pretty good sets with it, and I don't go anywhere without the Cosmos now. It's just one of those balls that is great. Very controllable, very effective, hooks, but once you get some lane shine on it, once you break it in a little bit, then that kind of makes the shape work. It gets a little bit further down the lane. It's got a little bit more punch. It's good from deeper angles. It's good from straight, depending on what you're on, who's using it. It's great. It has to be. Dang. We got a donation. Mr. BC, $20, shameless plug. Don't forget to come join Luke's Discord, Patreon, and or YouTube community. Many great resources for those that are bowling nerds, both free and paid versions. Okay, I got to go to league now. Thank you very much, sir. And yes, we nerd out about this stuff all the time. So we've got a gigantic community on the members side of things. We have so many channels that do so many different things that it is your entire internet. Like if you get on to the member side of our Discord and you can't keep up, like if you just want to lose yourself in internet dumb for a while, we've got an entertainment channel, we've got a food channel, we've got a nutrition channel, we have other channels in there even. Sorry, but we do. It's not just a Storm Kool-Aid hour in the member side. Sorry. But yeah, we've got so much stuff to do. We have a doggo channel. You can create your own coaching threads under the main channel. We have a bot that pulls in all of the USBC approved list balls. Quite a few interesting ones were hit the USBC approved list today or yesterday, I guess. So, yeah. Anyway, shameless plug. People want to get back to the ball rankings. Thank you, Bowling 300, for the other $5 donation. If you guys want to send money to some stranger on the internet, you can just click that little $ button under the chat and send me however much money you want to. And I will say your name on the internets while we're talking about ball stuff. And this is all the stuff that everybody's skipping that's going to watch this later. So yes, thanks once again very much to Mr. BC for the $20. I love the whiskey. Scotch. Jungo from JR Pro Shop loves the Cosmos. Feel the Cosmos, definitely S tier. It's a really great ball. The Gem's in A tier. I'm going to have to suggest S tier for most of these balls. That's hilarious. Yeah, thank you very much, Bowling 300. It's appreciated. This is a lot of work, takes up a lot of my time, but y'all make it awesome. So, and the people in my Discord make it extra awesome because they send me things and buy me computers. Anyway, moving on. Yes, remember to smash the like button. Smash it. Don't actually smash it. Just click it, please. Yeah, if you don't send me any money, at least you know, I have a set price or anything, but I have been getting $5. Um, hit the like button. That's close to like money. Yes. Okay. Back to the bowling stuff. Back to the balls. Everybody's getting restless. I can feel it. I'm getting restless. I'm ready to rank this stuff. So S tier is fair, but the ball's getting slept on. So I'm hearing S tier. I'm hearing S tier, and that's where I want to leave it anyway. So y'all would have had to make a gigantic case against it for me to not ramble on about it while my voice cracks like I'm 12. More water's needed, and I'm about to get extra. All right, so Cosmos, the next one that came out with it was the Infinite. And the Infinite was originally my ball of the year, but I don't use it as much anymore because it's just a little, the asymmetric. I go back and forth with the asymmetric stuff. Sometime I'm really feeling it where I can just kind of, if I'm rolling the ball a little bit more, I can't throw ASIMs at all because they just hook off the planet. If I'm feeling a little bit more loose, then I can throw the ASIMs because they're just perfect. I mean, the absolute, I was kind of iffy on it. I think you could probably tell from the review. I did, you know, I don't blow smoke at people. I took both the balls to league on Friday. I put the videos up, kind of on the fence about both of them, but I'm not just going to kind of dumpster them and move on if I'm either on the fence or don't like them. I'm still going to put them through their paces and give them a chance because that's what happened with the Cosmos. The Cosmos was on the bench. I did the review with it, and I'm like, I'm never going to throw this unless I'm on something tough. And so I just stuck it on the shelf and ignored it for 2 or 3 months. And now it goes everywhere. So I definitely want to give stuff a chance, give it a chance to be awesome, to be an absolute unit. So the Infinite is something, it's good enough to stay around. I know that Beef and Barnsey talk about it a lot. It's one that they both really like a lot. It's kind of unique because it's like a stronger Rubicon almost. It's clean and firm, but it's also really round and controllable. You can pipe it down the side. You can play the whole lane with it. Anything physics is just going to be great anyway. Some people don't get along with the REX cover, and it does. The difference between shiny REX cover and sanded REX cover is pretty big. There's a pretty big delta there. It almost acts like a weaker cover in that regard, but at the same time, that does make it a little bit more versatile because if you can take that ball and shine and knock it down a ways, you could run like a Infinite as your one ball, and then you could even drop a shiny Infinite, depending on how it's drilled, down to like a 3 ball or something. It's got a whole bunch of range. It's really versatile. It was toss up for ball of the year. I gave it number 2, but number 1 in my heart. But yeah, Infinite, yes. Everybody's saying what I'm basically saying. Yep. Late to the party. Can you go over what the categories are? S tier is the best. I mean, can you tell? Obviously, the Spectre's in the S tier. It's got to be the best, right? S tier is the best. A tier is really good. B tier is solid. C tier is mediocre, and D is for dog. So yeah, so I'm seeing a lot of S tiers. That's where I was going to put it too, because it's just S tier. It's more usable. I think Darren Tang even gave this. He said that this was the daddy ball when he did his earlier. S tier. It's more usable than the gym. I do agree with that. You're hitting me with the logic. Infinite's definitely S tier. Best ball last couple of years. S tier. Love REX. Can we rank 4K fast Reactogloss? Sure, we can do that at the end of the thing. Once I wrap this up, because people don't want to watch for I need to speed this up because we ranked 6 balls in 30 minutes. This is par for the course for me. But Sad the Nova's B tier. It might get argued to jump up a little bit because we're gonna slog through some stuff here in a minute. So yes, I'm gonna agree with everybody. I'm gonna put the Infinite up there in S tier. Normally, you don't want to do that because it's like, oh, you're a Storm guy. We're going to put everything in S tier. It's just for our brands for the year. If we're ranking stuff all time, obviously things are going to be different. But as far as what we're looking at for right now, we might, probably what we should have done is everything should be a rank lower. And so only the tippy top of the best stuff belongs in S tier. But I think that we're kind of doing that. It's just that the early part of the year, I think, was a little bit better than the latter part of the year. But, so anyway, yes, what about the exotic? Waiting for your thoughts on that. Oh, we'll get there. We will get there. Dark Code and Infinite are kind of different. The Dark Code has that really strong, chunky core, and so it could be great for some people and absolutely awful for other people. The Infinite is a different story. It feels like they don't feel exactly like the same cover, and the physics core does something different than that code core does. Anyway, moving on, quickly moving on. Chop, 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 chop. All right, so then what did we have? We had the reality check and the Wolverine Dark Moss were pretty close behind, and we'll start with the Wolverine. The Wolverine was it is a Wolverine replacement. The original Wolverine, the only difference is that the original came at 1500 polish. Wolverine comes at 4K fast. No problem with that. Either throw it until it shines up or just reset the surface to 1500 polish, whatever else. The Wolverine, I think, is solid. My initial instincts are to put it in B tier because it's kind of like the original Wolverine was really good. It was really good. The Dark Moss is really good too, but I think it's not as good as the Spectre. The difference in the cover strength just changes things a little bit. The Spectre with the little bit extra cover strength gave it a little bit more control, a little bit more balance. There's sometimes where the Wolverine just doesn't have the traction to get it done. Sometimes it just wiggles. Sometimes it has problems. But it's a really solid mid-tier ball when you don't quite want the core of something like a Phase 5, but you need more than a high road. So it does split that gap pretty perfectly. I just don't think that there's really anything special about the Wolverine. It's not bad. Yeah, I'm just personally not really feeling it with the Dark Moss. I would say B because it is really solid. I don't think that there's anything special about it because S70 is basically R2S. So it's another R2S Pearl Ball for all intents and purposes. I'm on R2S Pearl because we've seen it on everything. It's kind of like it's a little bit of a crutch at this point. It's really good. And that's I made this point in the video a long time ago. It's everybody, oh my God, R2S Pearl again. Wow, you're putting R2S Pearl on like the 150th ball. It's like, well, nobody else has figured out a way to put out anything better. So they try to compete with it, but they just don't quite get it done. And it's still around for 15 years while other people are still trying to figure out how to get it. So whatevs. We're seeing a lot of no, the DM is good. That's the thing. It's not that it's not a good ball. Yes, the Wolverine, I would say the Wolverine's less usable than the Gem. It's medium conditions. It's too strong and flippy for when they get a little bit drier, and it's just not going to hang out with the bigger stuff. So I think B, and I'm seeing a lot of people saying the same thing. B, C. Moss is a C for me. I want the Honey Badgers back. I think it's good enough to stay out of a C, but I don't want this list to end up being top heavy because I'm not a homer, but I don't want to piss people. I don't want to piss people off. I'm sorry. I take that back. All right. So any objections to B? I really don't want to put it in C, but if I don't put it in C, I'm not sure that I'm going to have much stuff to put in C. B, C. Everybody's on with the Nova being a B, yes, it makes sense. Yeah, it's not on the Nova's level. So if I really, well, okay. So there's the thing. The Wolverine, the Dark, okay, so here's the thing. The Dark Moss is not on the Nova's level. And so either I need to move the Nova up or move the Dark Moss down. Just so we have something in C tier, I'm going to put it in C. Sorry. C for me. C. It's pretty split between the B's and the C's. Moss is a C. There's enough C's, and it's not on the Nova's level. So we'll revisit this in a minute once we figure out what we're working with. Reality check. I think that the reality check is getting slept on. I think it's like a asymmetric Phase 2. Shape's exactly like it, just more length and shape. I think it can be a little too whippy and cut too hard through the pins sometimes, but It's good. It's good. I don't know. It lives between A and B for me. I could go either way. I'm not sure. Again, I think I'm going to ultimately end up moving the Nova up one because I don't think the reality check is quite Nova level, but it's really good. James got one. Angel got one. It's a little too long. It's a little too sharp for Angel. It's a little too long and iffy for James. I want to get one. I wanted one when they came out, but that shot shape it wasn't the greatest for me at the time. Now I think it's okay. I really want to try a reality check out. I'm actually ordering it. One of my first orders of the year here. It's going to have a reality check on it because I really want to drill one. Upper C, C, upper C, reality check is B, B for sure, A, B, B, C. Yes, it's not an altered reality. I think the reality check's a B, not as versatile as the other ASIMs. I think it's between B and C. So what do you feel like if I put the reality check in B and then move the Nova up? Or do you think that the check and the Nova are on the same wavelength? Do we think the check and the Nova live together? Or does the reality check also end up down in C? Or does the reality check stay in B and the Nova moves up? Or are they on the same upper B, AB for check? Nova's slightly better. I agree with that. I think the Nova is more versatile because the check can kind of the whippy nature of it and the way it kind of cuts through the pins, I think makes it a little bit more condition specific. Now, the Nova at the same time can be flat. It's really tumbly, and sometimes it can just be not enough ball, not get wound up enough. I just think it's a little bit more versatile. Check could be a C. Nova's better. Both in B, both B. Nova above check. Nova slightly better. Check could be C. I'm going to move the check down to C for right now. Leave them in B. The thing is, I don't think that the Nova and the reality check can live on the same line. I just don't think that they can. But what I'm trending towards is I really think the Nova is going to end up in A and the check and possibly the Wolverine are going to end up in B. That's what I'm feeling like. But it's not necessarily that the DM is underwhelming compared to the Wolverine. The box surface original Wolverine was better than the Dark Moss at 4K fast. The 4K fast and reactive gloss surfaces are very, very hit and miss. So make an F tier, move the P4 down, Moss to D, check to C. Yeah. What, can I do that? Whoops. Nope. Delete row, add a row below. I could add that. I could do that now that I've got room on the, let's add a row below. Come on. Whoops. No, I didn't want to do that. Delete row. I didn't know that it did it for me. All right. Whoops. Peermaker.com. This is actually pretty easy to use. So let me see. Black. Nope, then you can't see it. Red for bad. No, red's S tier. S tier. I like blue. I like blue, and I like that color of blue. So S tier is going to be the pretty blue. F tier will be red. So yes, we can do that. This might actually help. This will help a little bit. Then we might be able to move. So if we move that down there, this makes a little bit more sense. And could even argue for moving the gem to B tier. Now that we have a little bit more to work with. Great suggestion. I like it. We're going to stick with it. Make an F tier. Thank you, Pygmy. Move the P4 down, Moss to D, check to C. Bingo, bango, bongo. All right. So we're going to leave it how it is for right now. Now we can see everything on the screen. All right, so the next three were the X3, the Hustle USA, and the Hype Solid. We will start at the bottom with the USA. This one I think is slept on. Angels used it quite a bit. There's one of the guys that we bowl with, Zach Rhodes, who won a national championship, or two of them with Wichita State. He's got an Eagle. He shot 300 at nationals this year. He's getting into the regional and professional scene. He's pretty good, and he recently found the USA because he rolls it a lot. He rolls it kind of like Chris Prather likes to just get deep and hook it. He rolls the ball a lot, so he has trouble getting both down the lane. When he finds something that gets down the lane, then it can be wiggly and a little inconsistent. And then if he goes for cover strength or core strength to control the mid lane a little bit more, then he can kind of get the quit. He can get the flat corners. They make him get deep to get the ball down the lane, but then there's a little bit of quit. The USA controls the mids for him, but because it's a lower end ball, it's a weaker cover. It rolls heavy in the mid lane, but it doesn't start to hook early or start to bog down. So it looks really good for him, and I think that it is quite a bit better than people are giving it credit for. Completely different look than the wine and the camo. It is like a baby Nova, really. So I was going to put it in B. USA's A tier. 6 ball bag options. Didn't like the original gym, belongs around B. Infinite's a love-hate for me. USA's S tier because it's definitely more usable than the gym. That's fair. Just got USA B for the USA. So how about, let's see. I'm going to put the Hustle USA in B, because I think it's right on par with the Nova. They belong in the same territory because they do the same things. The Hustle's just weaker, just a weaker symmetric version of the Nova. They do the same things. They're in play on a lot of stuff. They're really versatile. The Hustle USA definitely outdoes its price point. We're going to move on, though, because as the wife said, we're about halfway through, and it's been like 45 minutes, and people are getting – no, actually, we got all kinds of people. To all 212 of you here right now, thanks a bunch. This is fun. Hashtag building suspense. All right. Solid A, B for the USA. Better than the camo. I would agree. B. PBR is a solid. No, the PBR is a hybrid. No, the PBR is a solid. The PBR was not a hybrid. PBR is a solid. USA is a hybrid, but it doesn't really matter that much. So anyway, I think the Hustle is a solid B. So, yep, wearing that exact hoodie tonight. Heck yeah. All right, moving on. We will tackle the Hype Solid. The Hype Solid is crazy. Like, the Hype Solid is really, really, really good. The only thing, I'm going to just put it in A right now, and we can talk about it. The only thing that keeps it at S tier is that the cover strength is just not quite there. It looks really good with surface on it. It does act a lot like a PBR. I think the PBR was actually stronger because VTC 20 was nuts. I mean, that the PBR and the wrap way, way, way out hooked their price point. They dialed the strength back a little bit and kind of reset things so that the Hustles, instead of being like these monster balls, like you don't see the wrap and the PBR got used on both the big tours a lot, and you just don't see lower end balls getting TV time because they're just for how tough the conditions are and how weak the covers generally are. They don't get this. They don't have the stability on the conditions. They may have the control, but they don't exactly have the stability. You need something with a little bit more teeth, a little bit more cover strength to actually blend the lane better. So just because something's smooth doesn't necessarily mean it's super stable or controllable. So the PBR was a monster. It was just under. It's actually stronger than an IQ Tour. It's just under a phase 2, so it got used all the time. The Hype Solid, the only thing again I think that keeps it out, it's crazy, crazy good for the price point. Darren Hype Solid's the nut. Yeah, it's good. It is good. S tier, A lot of people are saying S tier. It's so versatile. S tier. There's a lot of S tiers. Darren Tang likes it. Baby phase 2. I will agree with that too. S tier. All right. Everybody's voting for S tier. I don't disagree. I really don't disagree. I can't use it as often because I need stronger covers. I don't have a track. Everything on the left side is either the wet is wetter and the dry is drier. So I need something with a little bit more cover most of the time. I wouldn't mind throwing it more. I probably ought to get it out and, work with it some more. It might be one of those that I'm sleeping on right now, like I slept on the Cosmos for a little while. So yeah. Everybody voted for S tier. I don't necessarily disagree, so we're going to leave it there. All right, let's talk about the X3 because the X3 is interesting. I didn't get along with this ball at all, but I recognize the value and the potential. James actually has kind of come back around to the X3, where it was just all over the place for him. He would either miss the spot completely or he'd stop and duck hook at 30 feet. There wasn't really any in between. He had to work with a little bit. He had to try to understand it a little bit better. This is one of those balls, I think, if you like it, you love it. And if you hate it, it belongs in its own special tier down below F. It's like Z or double Z or something like that. I'm thinking C tier. However, I also think the reality check is better than the X3. But now that we have all these categories, we might be able to move some stuff around. I'm a staffer, though. Let's put everything in S tier. Drink the Kool-Aid. I need more Kool-Aid. And we're going to go extra. My fancy corksicle here that I got for Christmas. And it's the mermaid because I'm extra. Needed to keep my other drinky drink cool. All right, D tier, C tier, D, upper D, reality check more of a B. I like the X3. It was love-hate. Way too many planets to have to align for the X3 to look good. I'm okay with D. It's not phase. I agree. It's not phase 4 bad. It is not phase 4 bad. However, I also think that the Czech and the Wolverine are better than the X3. Don't get me wrong. I think it's got a lot of it needs the right bowler in the right situation, and then it's pretty nuts. So I'm just gonna we'll kind of hash some of this out later. I will go on ahead and put it in D tier, I guess, because that's what I'm seeing from everybody. And reality check more of a B. I could see that. Let's do that for right now. We'll put the check up there. We'll put the dark moss. We'll graduate the dark moss a little bit, and we'll put the X3 down there in D. Sorry, Schlim. The Cosmos is up there, man. The Gem's up there. Hustle USA is up there. The Hype Solid's up there. Don't get greedy. All right. So after those, I think the Night Road was the next one. Night Road and Supernova. Night Road and Supernova. Those both came out at the same time. The Electrify Go. We forgot about the Go. I didn't get a Go because it's another Pearl Electrify that we didn't need. Sorry. I didn't throw it, so I'm going to leave it off. Or you guys can tell me where you put this. Did anybody get one of these? Because we have the nice, pretty looking Electrify Pearl already. And then we have an Electrify Go that looks like one of the worst, the second worst ball I've ever thrown in the matchup Pearl. Terrible. Actually, this looks like the match Pearl. The match Pearl was really good. The match up Pearl, one of the worst balls I've ever thrown. The Go is redundant and unnecessary. We already have a Pearl Electrify. The hybrid's been gone for like a year and a half now or whatever. We had the Electrify Solid. It got discontinued, unfortunately, because it was caught up in the whole nonsense. And then when we already have a Pearl that's doing just fine, the pretty one, the birthday cake one, we needed a solid or we needed a hybrid, and we got the exact same ball in a different color. I don't understand. F tier, cool. I'll put it there. I don't give a heck. I've seen a couple of them and they didn't look good, so sorry. Oh wait, I'm supposed to be staffer hyping this. This isn't Kool-Aid. All right, moving on. All right, now we're to the Supernova and the Night Road. I'm going to start with the Night Road because, interestingly enough, ours were awful. I mean, it went. I filmed with it twice, a couple different conditions, I believe, and it bad out of the box, awful. Change surfaces, awful. This ball even got me a little bit of hot water. Because what I should have done, and this is not a corksicle, this is a brewmate. Sorry, my bad. You can't see it. I can't see it. Any brewmate. It's cool. So the Night Road was wretched beyond wretched. And I just said as much in the review. There were some other people that had the same issues with it, but I'm not just going to say, oh, this thing's terrible. I said there was plenty of other people that were getting them to look good. I mean, there was even a little bit of something going back and forth with the staffers. Some of them had the experience I had. Some of them were like, dude, this thing hooks off the planet. What are you guys even talking about? You know, what did you do wrong? Because some people's just look ridiculous. Then you look at others, and Tony Rucco's never hooked. But I resurfaced both of ours, and I think I even just reset the surface. I don't think I did the full 4K fast thing because I don't like how smooth that 4K fast or the new Reactagloss surface ends up being. We'll talk about Reactagloss in a minute. It's its own special monster. But the Night Road, once I resurfaced our stuff, all of a sudden they came to life and they look great. I think I went like 500 to 1,000, 4,000 maybe. I think I skipped this instead of going like 500, 2,000, or whatever the 4K fast is like 500, 1,000, 2,000, 4,000. The only one it doesn't use is 3,000. I think I just went like 500, 1,000, 4,000. So I still had some of that under grit, but I basically just rebuilt the surface on both of them, and it looked great, whole lot better. Then we drilled a couple of them. We drilled a couple new ones, and then all of a sudden we got the out of box reaction that everybody else, the hooky ones, Angels was like an arrow and a half different. It was crazy. And then mine, I even put a different layout on it because I talked to some people and I made sure I did my due diligence because it could have been just a fluke. And obviously there was nothing wrong with the ball because I resurfaced the original one and came back and it was great. So it just some weird surface something or other. So there's nothing actually wrong. It just sometimes I didn't expect it to be that bad, but sometimes, you got to work with surfaces. So what are we thinking here? Of course, I don't think anybody really throws them now. Mine got it quite a bit better. I still that one's in the rotation every once in a while. And I think it's got kind of a unique place because it gets down the lane easier than some of the stronger stuff that wants to rev up quicker. But that cover gives it a whole lot more traction, gives it more teeth, gives it more stability. And so it's B for me. It went from zero to hero. It did go straight to the bottom. Like nothing's ever going to be worse than the Ebonite Savage Flip. I'm sorry, that's the worst ball of all time. That will always forever be my worst ball of all time. Nothing can be bad enough to get down there. Not even the Zen Master. The Zen Master's number 3, by the way. Phase 4. The matchup Pearl is number 2. So anyway, I think it's pretty okay. I think it's kind of up and down. I could see anybody arguing for A. I could see people arguing for D. This one's just kind of all over the place. Maybe I don't want to do that because I don't think it's as good as the ones in the B tier. So maybe I'll put it in C and we'll revisit it in the Ebonite Stab and Slip. Yeah. EPX T1. I did not throw an EPX T1, so it might be the worst ball of all time. P4 is the 4th worst, I think. Not Matthew Stafford. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm going to leave it in C for right now because I think it's got a place. It's not as good as some of the other stuff up there. I think it's got a place, though. Moving on. This is another weird one because for as much much as this ball, it's got the same as the proton physics, but they don't really act anything alike. The proton physics has a lot different shape. They're both pretty long and pretty sharpish, but the proton rolls a lot more like a phase 2. The super rolls exactly like the Nova. It's just an arrow stronger and got a whole lot more quickness. It brings the thickness with a quickness. I'm inclined to just put it up in B because I don't see a whole lot of people throw them. I think that they're better than they're getting credit for. I think they're getting slept on a little bit. Unfortunately, optics drives things a lot more than it really should, because a lot of this stuff, if it looks good, people are going to buy it. People are going to throw it more. And if it's not one of the more attractive ones, people are going to feel differently about it, I guess. I think the Supernova is a B or a C. It's good. Maybe the Supernova belongs up in A and the Gem needs to be knocked down a little bit. Maybe we're going to reshuffle some of these, I think. Super, let me see here. S tier, Daddy Ball. Oh, we don't see a whole lot of them thrown around here. Okay, S tier. Upper A, more versatile than the Gem. I cannot argue with that. Super's an A. Supernova, A for super, too chuggy. It's a C. Supernova is too strong for most league shots. I would agree with that. But I also would agree that the Supernova is a little bit more versatile than the Gem. That's fair. I'm not entirely sure that I would want to move the Super. I don't think it belongs in A tier, though, is the thing. Maybe the Gem belongs in B tier. And then we can also rank them within the tier too. So, I mean, the reality check might belong here. This might be a thing. The Nova's like the best out of the B tier balls. So we'll stick the Gem down there. See where this stuff ends up. But then we can rank them individually within their specific ranks or whatever. All right, so the Paint the Lanes paintball, I had no idea. It's an R2S physics. It's a hybrid astrophysics basically, which I think automatically has to put it in like B tier. But I don't. Did anybody thrown this ball? Pay $300 for it. Most people wanted to just hope that they could get it like a pair of Jordans. They wanted to hope that they could actually snag one and then flip it as quickly as possible for another $100 or $200. Yep, October, Pink Physics and Phase 5. Then there's too many S tier balls, drop a couple to A. I do agree with that because now that we added the F tier down there, I think we can spread things out a little bit more. Some of these I don't. Some of these may or may not belong in S tier. I'm going to argue definitely for the Cosmos and the Infinite. If you wanted to drop the Spectre down to A tier, I could do that too because it didn't handle much volume very well. There's sometimes I just couldn't use it because it didn't have the teeth. I think that the Infinite and the Cosmos play better on higher volumes, but they can also reach down a whole lot. They got a whole lot more range than I think either the Spectre or the Hype Solid have really. So if it was me, I would leave the Cosmos and Infinite in S, and I would drop the Spectre and Hyped down to A. I'm going to do that, and we'll argue about it later. This might make a little bit more sense. Well, see, that's the thing is it was supposed to be a NEX Pearl or something like that, but they mixed up they got their lines crossed is what they did. So it's the Pink Physics is R2S Pearl. I don't think that they're going to put a bigger cover stock on any of these Paint the Lanes paintballs because most of them are in the R2S range. They're not going to go the Pink Phase. I've got one of those. It's R2S hybrid. I think they just like doing R2S hybrid for these because that was the same thing. The Pink High Road. I think it might just be we're going to put R2S hybrid looks really pretty in pink. I've got a Pink IQ, an IQ Pink that's also hybrid R2S. So I think that it just looks really, that two-tone pink just looks really sexy. And so I think every year they're just going to put Pink R2S hybrid on everything. So Bowler's Mart has it as NEX. It originally like if you went on their website and looked at it, but if you look at the box and you look, if you can find the stuff on it now, it's R2S hybrid. It just is. There was some, that's what everybody was questioning, because there were some people that were questioning, okay, well, I might actually want, if this is NEX hybrid, I might actually want to drill this thing. But then we all found out it's R2S hybrid. So if you see any photos of any boxes or whatever, the actual cover is R2S hybrid. So that's the official ruling on the field. What's stronger, PBR or Hype Solid? PBR, definitely. USA and Nova A. USA just on value to performance. You sold me. Okay. We'll do that. All right. Let's kind of get through these last few, and then we can rearrange them depending on where we're going here. The Phase 5. The Phase 5, because it was the first reactor gloss ball. The Phase 5, completely different than the Phase 4. I don't know how. It's not the surface, because we did the same surface thing. I put them at the same surface. Don't act the same. Don't act anywhere close to the same. The Phase 5, very clean arc. Very clean and archy. Phase 4 acts more like a Nova type of ball, except it pukes. I don't know how. The Phase 4 is a whole lot earlier rolling, earlier hooking too. The Phase 4 is actually a little bit stronger too than the Phase 5. I don't know how they're so different, but they are. The Phase 5, I think, is quite a bit better ball than the Phase 4, though. I would put it in B or C personally. It's one that I think that I need to put more games on if I'm actually going to get to throw it, but I don't get to throw those. I don't get to throw those clean covers very often. If about the lowest I'll get anymore is like a Fate. I just don't get under the Fate anymore, because the covers, if the cover's too clean, or it's not asymmetric. If it's asymmetric, I can get away with it, but if it's clean and symmetric, I'm just not going to throw it. So the Phase 5, I think, belongs in B or C. Spectre S tier, because Lewis, yeah. I mean, I would keep it in S tier too, if nothing else. S for Spectre. Phase 5 is B for sure. Phase 5 S tier. B works. B. Upper C. Would Phase 5 be close to an astrophysics? Yes, it's kind of like a symmetric astrophysics. It does kind of shape like that, but the Astro's got more torque. The asymmetry adds something to it. Arguments with the Phase 5. Somebody said S tier, upper B. I could put it in B, because it's quite a bit better than the Phase 4, and I think it's actually a good ball. I think it's pretty good. It's nothing spectacular or outstanding. And this is like the third R2S Pearl phase we've had now. Dear God, plus the one that they had overseas. Let's put something else on it. So yeah, upper B, S tier for personal reasons. Zen is better than the P5. P5 is just a ball. Yes. Yep. I definitely agree with that. The Zen Soul does need to stay above the Phase 5 wherever they go. Next is the Fate, I believe. The Fate, I'm sorry, this is S tier, and if I'd have had more time with it, this would have been my ball of the year. Because it came out in like November, we didn't have enough time to get onto it. If I would be, and when we did our ball of the year picks and all our rankings with the dog fundraiser stream, the rescue fundraiser stream was like the 17th of December, so it only had like a month and a half on it. I didn't feel comfortable ranking it, because it's easily the best, like optics, the best shelf, the best shelf appeal on the list. I think for me, the pink ball is strong. Phase 5 is really pretty too, but that Fate, just something about it. And I think it's definitely S tier. I mean, the Fate is just, Better than the Spectre. That's a perfect point. I even made that point, that I think that, especially talking about the Revenant, because it's supposed to be a Spectre remake. I think that the Fate is just a Spectre upgrade. Period. It's just one of the best balls out there, and y'all are just going to have to get over this two-handed thing. You just because it has a Belmo logo on it, scribble that thing out, sand it down, whatever you have to do. If you can't see that, if you don't want to see that Belmo logo on it, I don't even care. I am going to drink the Kool-Aid forever about this ball. It's going to be promotion. I'm going to start collecting them now, actually, because this ball for me is promotion levels better than that. I need to stash. I've got my promotion stash is running a little bit low, but I need to have Fates, Cosmoses, and promotions. I could throw those the rest of my life and just not even worry about anything else. The thing here, though, is the Phase 5 was a marble for 5 games. We couldn't figure out what was going on. Something about that, and I mentioned this in the Absolute and Revenant reviews, something with this Reactogloss, I just don't even know, because they absolutely obliterate the cover before they then put a super high shine on it. So the Reactogloss is like 500, 1,000, 2,000, 4,000 gloss. So it's basically like Reactogloss or 4K fast with a super high grit polish on top of it. So it just comes out like a marble. And the Phase 5, it just didn't. It did the same thing that the Absolute did for it. It just slimed up and wouldn't hook. And I thought it was the return track, because I thought it was, because sometimes the return wheel, if you have, we go film on Sundays quite a bit. And so they have Cosmic on Saturday night. So the return wheels will get all kinds of slimy. They'll get all kinds of oil on them. But for everything else, I've just taken to, number one, throwing something else until we get the crap off the return wheel. But this Reactogloss stuff, it just doesn't absorb oil. When I went out to film against the Phase 5 versus the Phase 4, I threw them back-to-back shots. The Phase 4, and then I just let them sit there. The Phase 4 absorbed the oil 10, 12, 15 minutes, something like that. 30 minutes later, the Phase 5 still had oil on it. However, after a resurface, all you have to do is change the surface, and you're fine. So the Fate, it didn't hook very much at all, but it was a unique kind of a look. The cover strength was enough, and I thought, well, this is really blendy. This looks really good. It's at least stable and controllable. It didn't hook very much, but it was really stable and controllable. But as I've thrown it, and I just broke the cover in. So we got the cover broken in, and it's a just dirty, filthy, whatever else. Change the surface on the Phase 5, really good. So Fate's just S tier. If you just resurface it. If the Reactogloss stuff or the 4K fast stuff doesn't work out of the box for you, just resurface it, or just have the shop reset it to like 1,500 polish before you even leave. You can't let a surface prep issue be the end all be all for a ball. You just can't, and especially because there's nothing wrong with the surface. I think sucks. To be quite honest, but just change the surface. That's all you got to do. And the Fate's too good of a ball. Some of these things are just too good of balls to let something little like that. And it's like, well, I don't like changing the out of box surface or whatever else. You've got to get over that. Just change the surface. That changing the surface changes so many things. There's so many people that waste so much money because they will not change the surface. Change the surface. And if you don't like it, you can change it again. That's the thing. Just if you take it to 2,000 and you don't like it, well, this ball sucks. I took it to 2,000, still doesn't work. We'll take it to 1,000 or 3,000 or polish it again or go 1,000 polish or whatever else. Anyway, I've got to move on. Soapbox. No, Christian, you got to change yes, the Fate does not hook very much. The Fate has too much hook stop. You might you got to change the surface. Work with the ball. You got to figure out whatever you got to do to figure out the Fate. Figure it out. It will be worth it. I promise you. More Kool-Aid consumed. Chugging the Kool-Aid on the Fate. All right, moving on. Sunstorm LE, I think, or no, the Exotic Gem and then the Sunstorm. No, the Exotic and the Zen U came all All these kind of came out at the same time. We're going to start with the Sunstorm. I've seen these look really good. There's several people that have drilled them, and I saw a lot of honor scores with them really quick, which is odd for a limited ball that people are trying to sell for like $300, $400 now. Very odd thing. But a lot of people drilled them, or, I mean, there's not a whole lot out there. These are very, very hard, very rare to get. But people are putting scores up with them all the time. So I've got to say that this has got to be a B tier or an A tier. Anybody with any Sunstorm experience here? Yes, Sunstorm S tier because it was Angel's Christmas present. Yes, the people in my Discord are awesome. They got my wife a bright yellow Pikachu ball. So all things look good. I don't know. The Sunstorm is not ugly. The stock photo is ugly. The actual ball is gorgeous. Let me prove you wrong. Well, all right, yeah. Hang on. Sorry. I've already taken an hour and 15 minutes doing this. I'm not apologizing anymore. This thing, the Sunstorm stock photo looks like some vintage yellow couch from like the 70s or something. The actual Sunstorm is gorgeous. And this lemon meringue stuff is ridiculous. I'm sorry that the picture's small. I'm not going to mess with it right now, but you can see it down there in the corner. Well, I might have to mess with the... Look at this thing. And it smells amazing. Kind of looks like mustard on the screen. It looks prettier in person, trust me. It's somewhere between, it looks like it's a little washed out on the screen. It's somewhere between, the actual ball is somewhere between what it looks like on the screen and the stock photo. Anyway, moving on. Sweet. All right. So now the exotic gem, and I'm going to do the U first. Let me see here. Back to the screen. So the Zen U is interesting. I've used it quite a bit already. It can be used on house shots. It's almost IQ Tour differential with like a high road RG. And it's kind of, I mean, it looks optics wise. I haven't thrown a purple hammer, rip the dream, but the Zen U looks like a solid purple hammer is really what it looks like. It goes longer and is sharper than a pitch black, but it has the dig of a pitch black. Mine, I wasn't sure about it in the review because it wanted to be a pitch black, but it also wanted to be something sharper. And so it kind of fought against itself. It'd hook instantly, but then it would also try to shape, but then I'd try to give it some room and it didn't quite want to do that. And then it wanted to turn into urethane and whatever else. But as I've let it lane shine, it keeps getting better and better. Now I think either letting it lane shine or polishing it up makes it have one identity. Because again, if it's a box, it's kind of like the UC3. It wants to dig, but then it wants to shape. And it's somewhere in between digging and shaping all the time. It doesn't all quite work out together. But once it lane shined up, I use it quite a bit, especially on tougher patterns. I threw it for all 8 games on red square the other day. My best look by a mile. Not that I had a good look, but it was my best look by a mile. Hashtag 150 gang. But the Zen U, I want to put it in A or B tier because you can kind of, if you drill it strong enough, it actually does flare. So you can use it like a smoother reactive ball. It's almost like a higher RG IQ Tour. It's not quite that sharp. It does kind of want to be urethane a little bit, but U tier. A. Let me go back up. Labels are nice. Teammate used his Sunstorm off the corner of Lathan, killed. Daughter has his NU, loved it. A tier, S tier, S tier. Red square's tough. Probably nice sport. Yeah, I might even put this up in A tier. It's really good. It's honestly, it's something different. It's between reactive and urethane, and it's actually good for a change because we've had a bunch of stuff that sucked. The fever pitch was awful. Purple was a little bit better, still awful. The fast pitch I really like quite a bit, but when it shows up, it is a marble. Goes 70 feet, does not do anything. Better spare ball than my mix. So that's why Jesper Svensson, when whatever show that he won, he drilled 4 of them for the TV show so that he could use a fresh one every single game. That's how fast it lane shined, and that's how weak it got. So he wanted a dead fresh one for every single game. So that's what happened. So, yeah, for the people who have thrown it, the Zen U is nearly identical to the Tank Blitz, which is legendary. I would probably agree with that. Yeah, pitch purple was too overrun. The fast pitch was really good, but you had to keep the surface on it, or you have to just have ridiculously dry lanes. It was some kind of a weird blend. It's better than the fever pitch and the pitch purple. That's not saying much, though. So, all right, last on the board. This is also a very interesting one because the exotic gem is a more usable gem. So I'm going to put it in A tier, and we'll talk about it. The exotic, I've seen a lot of people do really well with it so far. It's a unique blend of something that hooks. This is the strongest pearl, one of the strongest pearls ever, period. It's strong and it's chuggy, but it does get decent length. It gets to the pocket with strength. It continues. It's more versatile than the gem because it will hang out almost with the gem in terms of traction, but it gets a whole lot more use lower than when the gem is too strong. The exotic gem can go a whole lot lower than the gem can. So I'm going to put the exotic in A, and then we can talk about some of this stuff. Go back through, I'll start at the bottom and work our way up and see what needs to change. Maybe we remove the stuff that I didn't throw. Maybe we leave it on there. Y'all kind of voted on it. So the exotic's really good. This is why I keep talking about stronger covers. And this is the only one that Reactagloss look fine on, but I think it's a cover strength thing. This cover is so strong that it's going to hook. You can try to turn it into a marble. It's just going to hook. It's just strong. That core is crazy. That cover's crazy. It's just going to hook no matter what you do to it. So yeah, the Reactagloss looks worse on the cleaner covers is what it is, or performs worse. It acts worse, whatever else. The cleaner the cover is, the worse it's going to be. So anyway, early morning, night, everyone. Thanks. Fun discussing the list. Thank you very much. Thanks everybody for sticking with me. This is pretty crazy for taking an hour and a half to rank 20 bowling balls, but it's been fun. Obviously, y'all are still here. So anyway, we're going to go back through the list one more time. If you're thinking of leaving, don't do it, because I'm going to talk about this ball right here. This ball right here after we're done with the list for a few minutes because it's bedtime. All right, so we're going to start at the bottom. The Phase 4 is not going anywhere. We're going to move through these fairly quickly. Phase 4 is not going anywhere. The Electrify Go, I've seen a couple. They don't look good. Nobody cares. Redundant. I don't get it, but I don't own the company, so whatever. So we're just going to leave that there because everybody else kind of agreed. They said the same thing. X3, I don't think it's a D tier ball. I think that's a little unfair. I think it's better than that. Not for me, but I personally think it's better for that. I would like to move the X3 up to C because it's just not barely better than the Phase 4. Anybody, any objections? Any objections? Any objections? Testing, testing, going once, going twice, sold. I've got to move it up here. The problem is we may have to move some other stuff down. I don't know. Go most ball. I don't know. X3 would be to me. That's what I think. Pure ball. I don't think with all these up here, I don't think any of the rest of these are here. Like, I don't think that any of these are that bad. We might need to move a few around ABC. Wolverine Dark Moss is solid at serviceable. Same thing about Night Road. D, I think, is no man's land because I can't see it. Nothing else is like almost terrible. So I think C, the C tier looks fine to me. I'm okay with moving the Night Road down. Maybe the Go can actually be moved to D. All right, we'll put the Go up in D just to put something there. And I didn't throw it, so I don't know, but it can't be phase 4 bad. There's the logic right there. Sold. Moving on. B tier. And within these rankings, I think the Dark Moss is probably the best of the C tier. I think the Night Road's probably the next, and the X3 is probably borderline CD. So I think that the rankings are kind of fine. For me, the reality check is at least an A tier ball. I kind of think that. Sunstorm, we can leave it there. It seems pretty good. I haven't thrown one, don't know much about it yet, so that's just unfortunate. Sorry, I don't know. Phase 5 is solid. It's borderline. I want to put this up here a little bit higher. It's pretty good. I don't know about. I'll leave these two. I'll leave the Pink Physics and the Sunstorm down at the bottom, and they're kind of in the middle because we don't really know. Reality check. You're listing SPI balls, not swag, so there shouldn't be many D or F tier balls. The list is good. Yes, that makes sense. There really aren't many. I don't think that we put out a whole bunch of like A-list bangers this year. That's stuff that you would just want to stash forever. But we didn't, other than the phase 4, I don't think we released just crap. They're just garbage. So yeah, most of the stuff should be between A and C, realistically speaking. So that's a good point. So, what are we doing here? Oh, Angel's upstairs changing my blanky. That's going to give people seizures. I can't do this. I'm out. Bang. Okay, we're good. Yeah, 2021 was better, but this was a good year, all things considered. I think so. All right, so I feel pretty good about B tier 2, other than possibly the reality check, but I haven't thrown one yet, and so I don't know if I can really put it up in A tier with the rest of the stuff. Does it maybe it's the best of the B tier. That might be the fairest way to do it. The reality check might be the best of the B tier. B bordering on A. That might. What's your stash ball for the year? Cosmos and Fate. 100% done. I've got enough balls that very few things make the stash list, and I don't really even have a stash of much. I mean, most of our stash is overseas balls. Most of our stuff is overseas specials. We keep a couple IQs around. There's some stuff like IQs high roads. We keep a couple of those around phase 2s because people are always going to want to see stuff compared to those. And they're going to keep putting out phases. And they're going to keep putting out high roads. They're going to keep putting out IQs. So I don't want to have to order one and wait 2 or 3 weeks in case something comes out. I don't want to take the chance that they're not going to have one if I need to drill one for a comparison or something. I think I might put the phase 5 above the Supernova, or actually, okay, so that's how that list has to work. All right, so Supernova is a little bit more. The gem has kind of fallen off here in our little rankings here, but I think that's kind of fair. That's kind of where B is kind of what because it's not the most versatile. That's the only knock against it. It's really good, but it's just not the most versatile ball. I think the Supernova is even a little bit more versatile. The Phase 5 is just a great combination. It's a really good ball. The Reality Check is borderline A tier. It's just borderline A tier. Oh, Cosmos is amazing. Enough said. Then we're going to go up. The Exotic Gem, I think, has to stay there. I know that it's new, but I think as we get a little bit further, we give it a few more months, I think you're going to be seeing a lot more of these because it's only been out for a month. So A tier might be a little ahead of the game. So what I might do, I'm going to move the Exotic just because we don't quite know about it yet. I'm going to go on ahead and move the Reality Check up to A tier. The Exotic is going to be the best of the B tier because we just don't quite know about it yet. I think it's going to be an A tier list ball that we might have to just rank next year. We might, since it was so late this year and we didn't really be able to give it a fair shake, we might talk about that. We might actually put it in next year's list. Reality Check, I think, deserves that. The Zen U is really good. I know it hasn't been out for that long either, but I think that people are going to figure that out. You're going to be seeing a lot of Zen U's. When urethane is in use, I think it's better than the pitch black. I really do, because you can sand it down and make it hook and dig like the pitch black, but give a little bit more punch, a little bit more pocket presence. So I think the Zen U is a pitch black upgrade even. Because the pitch black, it's really early, and then it's just too slow sometimes to get it done. So I think Zen U is an A-list ball, and we're going to keep continuing to find that out. Nova, I think, is better than the USA, but the USA deserves to be up there. If the Spectre doesn't move back up to S tier, it and the Hype Solid are definitely the best of the A tier. Zen Soul's really good. It's not an S tier ball, but it's a really good ball. So I kind of like the rankings that we're working with here. Any other arguments? Disagree with the Supernova being below the Phase 5. Fair. We could put that back up there because the Supernova is more versatile. That's fine. Yeah, the pitch black, just the Zen U is a pitch black that punches and that shapes and that's more versatile, that's still controllable like the pitch black. It's so much better than the pitch black that I may not even carry them around anymore, honestly, because I had them on Red Square. The Zen U look better than the pitch blacks on Red Square because the pitch blacks just wouldn't. There is a whole lot more volume on Red Square than you actually think that there is. The pitch black, I had two of them. I have two different layouts. That's how lefty I am now. I have two different pitch blacks with two different layouts on a core that doesn't even really matter. So anyway, yes. Night Road needs to be in D tier. Early cover and high RG balls are terrible. I think once it gets some lane shine on it, it's a lot better. I'm going to stick with the Night Road in C tier because I think but if you get the surface figured out on it, it's pretty nasty. So I kind of like this. S tier, all these belong in S tier. I'm just going to say that. The one thing is, do we need to move anything from A tier back up to S tier? The Fate's a goat. Not going to, that's the Fate and the Idle Cosmos, not going to hear any noise nonsense about those. Those are staying there. The Infinite, you could possibly make the argument for A tier. I just don't think it's that. It's not as good, I don't think, as the Cosmos or the Fate, but I think it stays in S tier. The only thing is, do the Spectre and Hype Solid go back up here? And we have a list that looks like that, or do the Spectre and the Hype Solid, are they high A or low S? I almost think they're low S, almost. Yeah, the Hype Hybrid is nothing like the Pearl or Solid. It's freaking hilarious. The Hype Hybrid is nothing like the Pearl or Solid. Yeah, the Hype Solid's really that good. No, the Hype Hybrid is nothing like, and I think I did a video with James. You might go back and check that out. We had a video with James on the Hype Hybrid, and it's nothing like the other two. Not close, not remotely close. So considering how the Spectre got a straight upgrade, I think, yeah, well, that's the thing, is the Spectre was good, the Fate's even better. And then the Revenant doesn't, it's much like the Spectre. So anyway, we've been doing this for an hour and a half. I think I'm just going to call it. People are starting to trickle off now. I think we've ran this into the ground. Oh balls. There's one thing I forgot to do that I'm going to be really mad about. Hold the phone. Pause. Un momento. Bang, bang. Okay, we're better now. Anyhow. So, all right. I think this is where I want to leave it. Any final objections? I know that the gem is too high for Daniel. I know the gem's too high for Daniel, but I want to lock the list in right here, and then we'll talk about this special ball over here for a second. Nova similar to no, the Nova is not anywhere close to the virtual energy. Actually, funny enough. Yeah. So other than the gem, do you accept the list? My takeaway is I need to see a new video on the reality check. I am drilling again. I'm drilling one, so I will post something with that once I get it done. So that's my list. This is my list, and I might have to. I'm actually, well, crap. Do I have green shot on here? No, I don't have green shot on here. I'll clip it later. This is my list. Leave it right there so okay, so I can clip it later. Bang, that's my list for sharing on the socials later. Supernova A, Electrified needs to be an F. Link to last year's show. I didn't rank them last year. Well, I didn't rank them specifically, but we on the Doggo streams, the Positive Tales fundraiser streams. I think 2021 was December 20th ish, 19th. This year, or 2022 was December 17th. You can look back at the live streams. Lock it in. Someone in Darren's Discord is named Jim is Trash. That's great. Supernova A, Electrify F. Close enough. Close enough. I think the Supernova probably could be an A, arguably. I don't see a whole lot of people throwing them, though, is the trick. No matter what the staffers say, you can always tell what's good by what they throw. So, proof is in the pudding. So, any heckin' way. SPI brand of the year. That's interesting. SPI brand of the year. I'd have to give it to Roto, actually. I would have to give it to Roto. Because the Cosmos is nuts. The Hype Solid is nuts. The USA is nuts. The Exotic Gem is nuts. The Gem is really good, despite what Daniel thinks. The RSTX3 is okay. But I think as far as straight up dominance, Storm put out some of the Spectre Infinite and Fate, straight up nasty. Nova's really solid. Supernova, Phase 5. You could make the argument for Storm too. I think it's kind of split. Global doesn't put out as many things, but Zen Soul, Zen U, Reality Check, Dark Moss, So I think it's probably split between Storm and Roto. 900's definitely in the mix. They don't put out as many balls, and so I think it's a little unfairly stacked in Storm's favor because they put how many? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then the special editions, we won't count those. 7, 8, 9 for Storm. Versus Roto was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then Global put out 1, 2, 3, 4. 4? They had to have put out more balls than that. Was that all we got from Global this year? Is 4 balls? Am I blind? Am I doing a heckin' blindness? Zen Soul, Zen U, Reality Check, Dark Moss. Aru? Is that correct? We doing a heckin' correctness? Interesting. Okay. So, Global's living off 2 cores. But the Zen, the daddy ball, got us through some tough times. So 2022, these last couple of years have not been serious for our brands. 2020 wasn't great for anybody still. However, 2021 was still oddly not great. And then, or it was solid. 2022, we had the whole issue with the stuff, and then they were playing catch up the whole year. And I don't think made the best decisions a lot of the times, but I mean, myself in their shoes, there were no right decisions, I don't think. To be fair, to be perfectly honest and perfectly fair, I really don't think that there were any right decisions because they were blindsided with stuff earlier in the year. Still don't agree with any of the nonsense. USBC doesn't know what they're doing. Don't tell anybody I said that. I don't want to get taken out. So yeah, anyway, that's my list. For those of you watching the list, we're done with that. And I'm not going to spend much time on this because the wife's going to kill me because it's bedtime. We're going to talk about this ball for a minute. I will go on ahead and take the tier list off. I think we're done with that. Cool. That's my list. Awesome possum. We're going back to stuff. And I might get the other one out here too. I got a couple videos up for this one. I've got more on the way as soon as we got other stuff to compare it to. These were tough with the reactive gloss. We had to film 2 times, completely resurface them. And then they got definitely quite a bit better. Still a little on the fence about the overall usability, especially of this one, because the cover's so clean. I just don't use clean covers like this. However, again, like I said earlier, I took them both to league on Friday because I'm not just going to, well, they don't look good. I threw them twice and they don't look good. So dumpster, because I make fun of people that do that all the time. And so I took them to league on Friday and I threw the Absolute for 2 games, threw the Revenant for the last game. And this was good. This was actually good because we're filming on chromium now, a little bit more length and a little bit more volume than the house shot. And it just, with this cover strength, just was not quite getting it done. The core was. I really do like the core because it's asymmetric and it's got the torque, but it doesn't have like the hard flip on it. It's a little bit more controllable. And so it doesn't tend to lock up or stand up like some other ASIMs do. And I like it. I'm going to put it back in the bag again for both leagues this week. And if I have any house shot tournaments, probably going to take it here too, because the point that I did make is that while people might be saying, okay, well, cover stock tech isn't really going anywhere. Why are we still putting R2S on everything, whatever else? So there for a while, the oils are getting thicker, the patterns are getting heavier, they're getting longer, whatever else they're using for tougher tournaments. They're using more volume, more oil, thicker oil, whatever else. However, the lane beds in the country are also getting older and higher friction. And so the increase in oil viscosity and the length, volume, whatever, is kind of being offset by the fact that friction levels are rising because there's not many new bowling alleys going in with fresh installs. Unless it's a Bolero or a main event, like I mentioned in one of these videos that I did. And those are more recreation. So those don't quite matter a whole lot. So most of the bowling alleys, we have more bowling alleys closing than are opening up. And so a lot of the synthetic surfaces in the country, 15, 20, 25 years old. So as surfaces get dirtier and dirtier, I thought, gosh, R2S, why do we need something cleaner than R2S? But because it's asymmetric, it's got the extra torque, it's got the extra flare to help out a little bit. And with lane surfaces being so dirty, this is a perfect option for for use when you're stuck in between ball reactions, because a lot of the time, to find a cleaner cover that's actually going to get down the lane without burning up or puking, you also have to go down in core strength at the same time. So what you end up finding is that you've got too much ball or not enough ball for a lot of these dirtier lane surfaces in the country. So I think that this was a very, very smart, well-designed ball. It absolutely sucks out of the reactive gloss for me, for us, for a lot of people. Don't quote me, but if it sucks for you, I would not let that stop you from buying a ball, because we researched them and they're great now. The Angels warmed up during filming, and then after the resurface was even better. Mine was whatever before I resurfaced it. It got better after the resurface, and then, like I said, I took it to league and was pretty impressed by it. So I'm looking forward to throwing this one more. I did not think that I was going to like it initially. More reactive gloss problems. Just change the surface. I think it's going to be okay. I'll get the other one out to talk about it too now. I don't want to leave the Revenant out because it looks pretty sweet. I don't know how well you can see this. We got some glare and stuff, but it's a really pretty looking ball too. Very sharp looking, pretty ball. It looks better in person than it does on the render. Of course, a lot of things look better in person than they do on the render. This is this really pretty kind of Wolverine dark moss forest green, and it's got a bunch of glitter in the orange, and it smells really good too. Revenant. This ball, I don't think, is a whole lot like for me, it's not a ton like the Spectre. Like I said, the Spectre for me is like a stronger high road, and this is like a stronger high road pearl. So the Spectre and the Revenant for me relate exactly like the high road and high road pearl do. The high road is a little bit earlier, a little bit stronger, more of an arc type of shape than the high road pearl. The high road pearl is a little cleaner, a little weaker, and rounder off the spot. This acts, the Spectre acts like a stronger high road, acts like a stronger pearl. That's exactly how I personally would relate them. Obviously, there's tons of other videos out there. Go watch them and see you. This one, it's still, after the resurface, it's still even a little, and it's a little too sharp. I think the problem with this is it's still a little too sharp. I don't necessarily know if I want to take the polish back down. I probably should, but what I think I want to do is just let it break in, because I like the amount of length. I just don't like the amount of shape. It's a little too jerky, and then when I move in a little bit, it doesn't quite have the core, it doesn't have the RG to spin it up fast enough. So I'm getting this. It's either just a little too high or a little too late. So I'm getting 6-pin, 6-pin to 7-pin, or basically like for the righties, 4-pin, 10-pin, 4-pin, 10-pin, 4-pin, 10-pin. That's kind of the zone I'm stuck in, but stuff mellows out as it ages. So instead of doing something with the surface, I like the general zone it's in. I just want it to be a little bit slower on the back end, and putting some more use on the ball will make that happen. So that's where I'm at with this. The problem with this one is that the Fate is so good that if I'm anywhere remotely able to use the Fate, I'm going to be using it. Now, this is, for me, a step down from the Fate, and I have had some situations. If I'd have been able to use this a week before I could, my Fate was hooking too much. The Fate was the weakest. League had been a little bit wetter, and so the Fate has been the weakest ball I've been taking. If I would have had this to use, it probably would have been helpful. It might still, it was dry, so it might have been too sharp. Because having problems with the Fate, it was either too strong, or then I'd get in, and then it wasn't quite. Of course, I was playing like fourth arrow, so there's that. But anytime a lefty has to play four, it's just not going to be good. You're going to be locked into over-under. If I would have had this just a little bit cleaner, it probably would have helped. Let me look at the chat here. Actually, excited for the Absolute. Yeah, again, I'm not big on them with the out of box surface, but you might as well try it. Because especially if you're at a drier house, the reactor gloss might, and getting a little bit of oil on the cover, getting something to slow down while still having the core to do something might work out perfectly. And it's gonna, if you use it for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games, you're gonna break the cover in anyway. So just if something, and this goes for anything, even when I'm not dumping on a box surface, it's not like people didn't used to dump on the old shiny surface too. So it's not some shiny surfaces, factory polished surface. People have been dumping on that stuff for years anyway. I just think the reactive gloss is worse than the old polish. However, try it, and if it doesn't work, change the surface. I think you should change surfaces before you should re-drill a ball. A lot of people will do that. If it doesn't work, they'll think it's the layout or something. Play with the surfaces, stack them different, work with it. Try that first before you do anything else. And otherwise, it just like people were complaining about the price of gas for a little while still, uh, getting off of the line at a stoplight in their lifted F-350 like it was a drag race or something, but they're still complaining about the price of gas. Okay, you can complain about the price of bowling balls, but if you see something on SRG BBFS, it's like, oh, threw it for 2 games, didn't match up with it, boat anchor, this ball sucks, I'm just trying to recoup some money. Hey, you're an idiot. Sorry. Feeling spicy tonight. So anyway, Darren Tang was confidently saying Belmo was going to dominate this year with the absolute. I really could see him doing it. He uses the alert a lot, but the absolute is longer and sharper than the alert. And so if Belmo can go like Fate from Strader, because the Fate kind of acts like a little bit weaker version of the alert. If he can go like Fate, alert, absolute, yeah, I think Darren's definitely right. I could see Belmo just destroying everything. The absolute is not like the Code Red. It's the closest thing we have to the Code Red, but the code shape is different because that core is so chunky. I think if you drilled the absolute a little bit stronger, it could get to Code Red, and especially if you rebuilt the surface, like if you take it to 1500 polish, like 500, 1000 step 2, I think you can get it close-ish to the Code Red. It's definitely the closest thing we have. All right, Ottawa's slick. We keep needing to get down there to bowl. I've been down there to eat several times. I've not been there to bowl. The absolute aesthetic really reminds me of the Anarchy. Yes, I could buy that. The absolute seems like a late '90s storm ball. Yeah, cool. I mean, I ended up very pleasantly surprised. I'm still on the fence about this. We'll see what happens because the Fate is giving it a lot of competition and it needs to break in a little bit more. But I'm warming up to the absolute very, very quickly. Which do you think is more versatile between the Revenant and the Spectre? As it stands now, the Spectre. The Spectre was a little longer and sharper gate too, though. It got better as it broke in and mellowed in, and I really liked R3S Pearl. I like the R3S line of covers, period. So I think I just need to let this break in a little bit more, and I think we'll be just fine. Yep, absolute at least looks sexy. Can people start subbing to your channel now, sir? House Hag Bowling, unfortunately, had YouTube delete his channel for some ridiculous, unknown reason. They didn't even really tell him why. They just sent him some, oh, your channel was in violation of spamming people or whatever. And it wasn't. But then he sent something back, never really got any specifics, any whatever. Your channel's just gone. Sorry. So, House Hag Bowling, go subscribe. Follow him on Twitter and Instagram and wherever else, Facebook. Follow him wherever else he's at. I don't know if he's going forward with the YouTube channel yet. So, can't hurt to sub, though. P3 came with Reactor Gloss. Should I kill the gloss? I have not thrown a Reactor Gloss P3. My stashed ones do not. They have the 1500 grit polish. Yeah, if it's looking well, and that's the thing is I think that the cleaner the cover is, the more the reactive gloss is going to affect it. It did affect the P5 quite a bit. It affected the Revenant. It affected the Absolute. The fate was on the fence. It was borderline marginal, but then I just kept throwing it. It got better. The exotic gem, I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell it was reactive gloss. It looked great right out of the box. So I think it's just the stronger covers are going to handle the finer surface better, and it might be the surface might just be a little too fine. They might need to kind of play with it a little bit. So Absolute versus Zen Master. What? Do you think that the Absolute's the closest thing we're going to get to the UFO alert, or will Roto make a replacement? I see something coming very soon from Roto, because they've got a bunch of big chunky stuff in the HP4 line right now. They've got the RSTX3 Microtrax hybrid. They've got Microtrax Solid on the gem. They got Microtrax Pearl on the exotic gem. Then you drop down to the HP3 line. They have the UC3 and the Idle Cosmos, because the RSTX2's gone, the UC2's gone. So they've got the Cosmos. So they've got a bunch of big chunky stuff up there, and then you drop straight down to the hypes. Roto's got some huge holes to fill in there, and so I think that we're going to get a cleaner cover, either mild ASIM or a cleaner symmetric ball, because they've got a huge gap between the HP2 and HP3 lines. Is the Revenant like the Paradigm Shift? Oh, no. No. The Paradigm Shift is way. It was a big ASIM, whole lot stronger. Absolute versus Zen Master. Could not get any different. How should I get my Zen drill to be similar to my phase, but better from deeper angles? The Zen isn't a big, deeper angle ball. That's the thing. It's just it's not big on shaping. What's your take on everyone saying reactive gloss feels slimy on the cover, not absorbing? I know you touched on it. Just wanted to get more of your take on it. Yeah, I mean, that's what it does. I did get pretty in-depth on it. I talked quite a bit about it in the Absolute and Revenant reviews. I think it's just because it just locks up the pores of the balls, because they go 500, 1,000, 2,000, 4,000, and then the gloss is a really high grit polish. Before it was the 1500 polish was 500, 1000, step 2. Step 2's I think the bottle says it's like 1250 to 1500, 1200 to 1500 grit compound of polish. It's a compound, and it does come pretty chunky out of the box, or out of the bottle. And so I think just with these cleaner covers that don't really have a whole lot of stuff to them to begin with, they really make the cover smooth, and then they mirror shine it on top of that. And I just don't think that any oil is getting absorbed into these covers. And so, that's exactly what the thing is. It does. The balls, you throw them 3 or 4 shots, they slime up. You can't get the oil off. You just kind of wipe it around a lot, and you just either need to resurface it or just throw the ball until it breaks in. I mean, because it's going to break in after 3 or 4 games anyway. So it is nap time. I took way too long doing this, but we still got 160 some odd people watching. We had 250 some at some point. So that's freaking awesome. I appreciate everybody hanging out and having fun. Absolute versus Insight. They shape the same, but the Insight's a lot stronger. We need something in the HP3 line. Yes. All right, done with the comments. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Thanks once again, BC, for the donation, and Bowling 300 for their donation as well. Thanks, bunches. We have more videos coming soon. I do have another overseas video coming on Friday, I believe. Yeah, Jonathan, can I message you to send you some extra Chicagoland beers we have at the house? I know you and Hawes need drinks. Yes, you can. We also got another care package from somebody. I don't know if they want their name announced on the stream, but we got another package from somebody. They know who they are. Thank you very much. It's very appreciated. Once we get back on the air with a breakdown pair, we will have all the stuff. So thanks a bunch. Appreciate it. We are out. And to all a good night.